I will turn attention now to other stories. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on his first foreign trip since they returned to office for a third term in June. He's been keenly watched by his Western allies as he meets the Russian president. Prime Minister Modi landed on Monday just as after Russian bombing killed at least 41 people in Ukraine, including at a children's hospital in Kyiv, sparking a global outcry. India's officials in Delhi are playing down questions over the timing of Mr. Modi's trip. They say the annual summit is part of a long-standing strategic partnership, and the scheduling has nothing to do with the NATO summit. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has strongly condemned the visit. And from Delhi in India, a journalist, Surinder Oberoi, joins me from more on this controversial visit of the Indian Prime Minister to Russia. Good to have you join us. All right, so as you just heard in our introduction, this is Prime Minister Modi's first foreign trip since he returned to office for a third term in June, and the first to Russia since 2019. And my question really is, why Russia, and how significant is this visit?
As you rightly said, that this is the first visit of the Prime Minister since 2019. But you should not forget that India has been interacting with Russia. Even India has been opposing the sanctions also since the war which has begun. And India has been doing trade as usual with Russia. You see, as far as Russia is concerned, Russia was there for India when India required that since Cold War days. And India is equally responding. Not only that, India is equally maintaining relations with the West, world also with the US in the form of Quad and other areas. So India has, I can say that India is having a third pole. India doesn't want to be with us or against us. India wants to play its own role of the neutrality, build up relations with every country where they can and look into the trade and try to reach or achieve their goals, what Prime Minister has been mentioning, as well as the economy of India is concerned. And if you look into the present visit of Prime Minister, it's more on the economy, it's more on the trade, where India and Russia are planning to have at least $100 billion trade by 2030. And as I said earlier also, if you look into the bilateral talks which are happening between the two countries, I mean, it's unfortunate that the incident has happened in Ukraine hospital. And if you go by the conversation, it was a direct message by Modi to Russian president about that it's quite heart-wrenching when in a conflict, children die or children suffer. So there has been, I would say, not directly, but indirectly message on the Kyiv, and Prime Minister has been always saying that dialogue is important, diplomacy is important.
If I may come in here, just a minute, because we've talked about the timing just after a children's hospital in Kyiv was bombed, and then we've seen that global outcry around that bombing. It's also coming at a time where there is a NATO summit going on in Washington, and the invasion, 2022 invasion, is going to be the major theme. Could the president, or could the prime minister rather, have suspended this visit, and what would have been that implication of that?
I don't think so. In the sense, you see, that time when he was already, the tour has been decided months ahead. We knew about it that Prime Minister is supposed to visit Russia as well as Austria. Now, the second leg of this tour is Vienna, where he's going to that. So the program was already there because India was quite busy in the election. And this is the first trip post-election. And I don't see that we should compare it or make the two things to tango. In fact, I would suggest that the world powers should ask India to mediate and to ask, if they are asking if Modi has got a direct access to Putin, why not to use that offices to bring everyone on the round table? So that should be the consideration rather than saying that you don't attend this meeting or you don't attend that meeting. India before that has attended G7, G20, all the meetings wherever India is being invited. India went to send the Prime Minister, Foreign Minister to the SCO also. So meetings are being attended, and India is going to have further many meetings with the United States as well as the other actors with whom India has been working, as well as the economic relations are concerned.
So Mr. Oberoi, again, sorry to interrupt you, and I know that you're making very good points, but I just wanted to bring this in, to tie it into what you're saying, because India seems to be caught up between the East and the West as tensions escalate between both the regions, and we see how India is trying so hard to maintain ties between U.S. and Russia. But how well can it continue to manage that geopolitical balancing without straining relations with either sides?
See, I mean, India has been earlier also playing, I think, with many of the countries about their non-aligned role, which can be defined into now more or less like that India is trying to have a multilateral diplomacy with all the countries. Not only that, India has very openly said again in this meeting also that India wants to represent the global South also. It's with that spirit that India wants to build up, and many of the Western countries want India to be used against China. I mean, just to give you in some sort of a blunt things, which India wants to play its own, India has to feel its own pulse. What is more important and what they need to do and how to maintain their relationship with different countries. Finally, India has to build up its own reputation as well as leadership, which India finally is gaining. I mean, if you look into across the globe, other than some of the incidents which are happening, and I understand the pain through which the Ukraine people are going, or for that matter of Palestine people are going around, but India has been negotiating, talking to them. They have not closed doors with them. They are not siding only with the Russia. India is not supplying any weapons to the Russia or any other things. India, in fact, is asking for peace with from Russia. India is directly asking. And I mean, look into the key message which Modi has been able to give even after this bombardment of the hospital, that it's heart-wrenching, children died.
Thank you so much for your time. We're monitoring this visit. I will see how it plays out. I'm sure in the course of the visit, we'll have time to speak to you again. Journalist Narendra Oberoi, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And by the way, India has also got the highest civilian award just now. It has been announced by Putin. It's called as the Order of the Holy Apostle Andrew Award.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank